Tonight I ask for your partnership, for your support, and I am humbly asking for your vote. I want your vote. We were energy independent, but soon we will actually be energy dominant.
Under Donald Trump, the United States was a net exporter of energy for the first time in modern American history. Fact check, true.
Under my plan, incomes will skyrocket, inflation will vanish completely, jobs will come roaring back.
We've been hearing politicians for years make these promises. He already did it and followed through on it.
He's a leg to stand on.
Exactly. When's the last time you could say that about any president?
And they come up with this, I don't know what the hell it is, it's Project 25.
Look at their Project 2025.
Project 2025.
2025. Project 2025.
I don't know anything about it.
Drink every time, mention threat to democracy.
And they keep saying, he's a threat to democracy.
Donald Trump is a great threat to our democracy.
He's an existential threat to democracy.
He will be a dictator on day one.
That is Nazi imagery.
Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans voted clear and present danger to our democracy.
What the hell did I do for democracy? Last week I took a bullet for democracy. What did I do against democracy? Crazy.
There aren't many individuals who I can say have had as much of an impact on changing me and my perspective. That's what Donald Trump has done with me. It's not a change in principles. This is what the left will try and say. Well, what happened to your principles? We're not talking about changing your principles. We're talking about remaining steadfast to your principles in the presence of new information. And there has never been, in my lifetime, any political figure who has made it so apparent, who shined a light on new information as relevantly as that man right there. That's why I'm vested in this election. That's why it's the first time I've ever endorsed a presidential candidate, and that's why I think this is the most important election of our lifetime.
And quite simply put, we will very quickly make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. God bless the United States of America.
Glad to be with you. It's hard for me to... What day are we?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Is it Thursday? It is.
Yes. Well, this will all make sense in a little bit. I have been traveling across the country. It's been a pretty busy schedule. Mm-hmm. And today is the launch of... You're about to see this. Today is actually, if you can believe it, this is a drip because they're going to have a heart attack when you see what we've got for you between now and election. It's the launch of every week, Club Undercover, Stealing a Nation 2024. I've been working with the Undercover unit. We have multiple stories already sitting back here in the hopper that directly relate to not only the election, the rigging, to use a term therein, but the fundamental changing of democracy as they claim it to be, or your constitutional republic. So a lot of work here that's gone into it. And every week between now and November 5th, the election of the century, we are going to be bringing you some... I don't want to spoil it. All right. So we'll talk about that today. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about Ben Stiller supporting Kamala Harris because he wants change. I guess that still works with some people. Mm. And the I don't know if you know this, Donald Trump was in the Arlington cemetery, and people made a big deal about it. He got in trouble. Turns out everything that the media said, complete bullcrap.
Really?
Mostly, I should say.
I never would have thought.
Not necessarily everything. I mean, I'm sure they use like the proper verb tenses in their articles. So if at some point today, and sometimes this happens with undercover investigations on YouTube, they simply don't allow it. They don't follow state law, even if it's a single party consent state. Some point today, you may see this. Head on over to Rumble. It's a live show weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. And of course, all of this will be available to not only share on Rumble, but on X if it does get banned from YouTube. And please do consider sending in your tips if you have some stories. We track them down, LWC tips at protonmail.com. A few of these leads and with these stories actually came from you. So we appreciate it. Sometimes insiders, sometimes outsiders. I like both siders. We have Gerald. We have Josh. How are you both?
Doing well, you?
Yes.
Good.
Good. Let's fight.
All right.
Do it.
Let's get into this.
Yeah. Wait.
And a big thank you to everyone who's put in the work here with Club Undercover. It's the best investigative journalism unit on Earth today. So, today, we have a story for you that involves the United Nations. Okay. You know my opinion of the UN. I don't think highly of them.
No.
At best, it's pretty much useless, but it also can act as a force for evil. I know everyone likes to say, we are the world, hold hands. There can be nothing bad if we're all unified. I don't know if you look at those mosaics of all those flags and we are the world. You can probably count every third, fourth, fifth, call it 10th flag, and notice that flag wants to exterminate all the other flags preceding it. That's the problem with the UN. Let me give you a few headlines here as examples to set this up. From The Guardian, Washington Post, UN picks Saudi Arabia to lead Women's Rights Forum despite abysmal record. UN peacekeepers fathered, then abandoned hundreds of children in Haiti, report says. UN announces 108 new alleged sexual abuse victims in Central African Republic.
Wow.
Who could have called it?
Yeah. So a lot of people have criticized the UN. And by the way, if you've criticized the UN here, if we're still on YouTube right now, you could have been removed. Or if you criticize the WHO, you could have been removed. It was a matter of policy. Here actually is one of the detractors of the UN, I believe. I'm trying to remember this next clip that we have. Okay. That's right. It's Donald Trump. He said this in 2019.
The free world must embrace its national foundations. It must not attempt to erase them or replace them. Looking around and all over this large, magnificent planet, the truth is plain to see. If you want freedom, take pride in your country. If you want democracy, hold on to your sovereignty. And if you want peace, love your nation. Wise leaders always put the good of their own people and their own country first. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots.
And of course, Donald Trump was shunned for those comments. But is he right? What do you hear straight from the horse's mouth? That brings us to today's installation of Club Undercover. So, the UN. It's the largest international organization in the world. I can say this definitively. They are terrified of Donald Trump getting elected, and they will do anything in their power to ensure that that doesn't happen. I know, that sounds quite democratic. How do I know this? How do I know it for a fact? People at the UN told us just that.
So is globalism one of the goals for the UN?
Absolutely. It's a threat to the absolute power of the United States.
One of the defining features of this MAGA movement is the ultranationalism. And one of the main enemies are what they call the globalists. And the definition of a globalist.
One of the objectives of the UN is to create an identity of a global citizen.
They create this institution, which is the closest we've ever got to kind of like a world government.
You know, the United Nations does not have its own army. Absolutely.
I'm not sure the United Nations as an institution is going to survive a second term by Donald Trump. The United States government funds 27% of the UN budget.
Is that more than anyone else?
Oh, by a long stretch.
A United Nations without the action of the United States backing it up, it's not going to be effective.
The purpose of Donald Trump is to end the international institutions that somehow level the playing field. It's a movement that is deeply nationalistic. It's America first, America, make America great again, America, America, America. He wants America first.
So does the UN not want him?
Yeah, because I remember her
I mean, we are terrified. We're terrified.
So the internal vibe of the UN is like no one wants Trump because of that?
Absolutely nobody wants Trump.
So is the UN just like useless now?
I would say for 95% of issues related to international peace and security, yes.
All right, the person you just watched was Jorge Pauletti. Now, I know what happens with these things, and we have plenty more clips for you. They'll try and say, well, it's just some glorified intern. This person is an associate legal officer in the treaty section, the UN Office of Legal Affairs. According to the UN's own website, let me read this for you. The treaty section contributes to ensuring transparency of the international treaty framework, wider knowledge of the law of treaties, and broader participation in multilateral treaties deposited with the Secretary General. So, intern? Don't think so. They always try to make someone a patsy for the higher-ups. This isn't the last story. This is the opening salvo. Go ahead. Here we have Pauletti telling our journalist, again, you'll see this, you saw some of it in that clip, but reiterating that the UN was terrified of, and this is important, not just Donald Trump, but the MAGA movement. Internationally, you are an enemy.
I work more with the legal counsel, which is the lawyer of the United Nations.
One of the defining features of this MAGA movement is the ultra-nationalism. No, ultra-nationalism.
Right now, like the market is worse than
it's a movement that is deeply nationalistic. It's America first, America, make America great again, America, America, America. And one of the main enemies are what they call the globalists. And the definition of a globalist. I'm not sure the United Nations as an institution is going to survive a second term by Donald Trump.
So does the UN not want him?
Yeah, because I remember her.
I mean, we are terrified. We're terrified.
So as usual, the why matters. We make all references publicly available. Well, in 2020, let's talk about the international community. Donald Trump threatened to completely withdraw from the World Health Organization. And in 2017, President Trump withdrew the United States from the UN Compact on Immigration. And just to be clear, this compact aimed to set a global immigration standard. So the UN wanted to set the standard for the United States. I don't know if you know this, you're the taxpayer, you foot the bill. So let's move on here. Maybe the UN would be an authoritative governing body, and maybe their fear of Donald Trump and yourself would be justified if, let's say, you and Donald Trump advocated for abuses of human rights, and the UN had a good track record. Well, okay. Here's Pauletti talking about how global institutions can actively punish Donald Trump.
There are many instances of human rights in which skillful lawyers can take cases in case Trump decides to go completely wrong. One instance is the United Nations, but another instance that I think would work even better is the Organization of American States. The thing is, they have a very good human rights tribunal system, and the United States is part of that human rights system. So you can bring cases against the United States to that system.
So what he's saying there is that OAS can actually punish Trump if they don't like his immigration policy. And I say this so you understand there are fail-safes in place in case Donald Trump wins. And for the defeatists out there, I will tell you this. This is one of many in a long line of stories, and this is the least authoritative of the people who have a nice package being presented on them in the coming weeks. They are genuinely concerned that Donald Trump will win. They know it's possible, so you better understand that too. Here is Paoletti saying the quiet part out loud because you've been told that you're a conspiracy theorist. One point in time, we know that YouTube throttled anyone who used the term globalist. Here he is saying that the UN wants one world government.
They create this institution, which is the closest we've ever got to kind of like a world government.
A world government?
A world state.
Like a one world government?
Exactly.
So is globalism one of the goals for the UN?
Absolutely. It's to create a space for also the creation of a consciousness of a species, of a planet, of an identity as a planet. One of the objectives of the UN is to create an identity of a global citizen.
Of a global citizen?
Yes. Of someone who shares an identity, a political identity with everybody on this planet. But it's a threat to the absolute power of the United States.
Why?
Because they don't want an institution over the U.S. telling the U.S. what to do.
The United States government funds 27% of the UN budget.
27%?
Yeah.
Is that more than anyone else?
Oh, by a long stretch.
Apologies for the quick correction. The United States actually pays 1/3 of the UN's total budget. Apparently he didn't know that. Also, to be clear, President Trump did cut funding to multiple UN programs, including some that promoted or helped support abortion overseas. Here's the bottom line. The UN is entirely useless without the United States. It may as well be called the Hey, America, give us more money, please organization. How do I know that they are useless? Again, here's Paoletti saying it.
So is the UN just like useless now?
I would say for 95% of issues related to international peace and security, yes.
95%
yes.
related to international
it's not,
matters?
International peace and security.
International peace and security.
Yes, which is the main goal of this institution.
So it's 95% useless for that?
It's 95% useless.
There is very little power that the United Nations has that is not actually the power of its member states. A United Nations without the action of the United States backing it up, it's not going to be effective. You know, the United Nations does not have its own army. Absolutely.
And we'll make all that footage, of course, available individually on Mug Club. Look, this is what this comes down to. A lot of people think that local politics, they only affect the United States. The United States sets the standard for the rest of the world. We also provide the funding pretty much for the entire free world. This election, what is at stake? Well, listen to these people. What's at stake? It's not just the United States. It's the state of the world. It's your personal freedoms. Donald Trump is a proxy for at least half of this country. It is at least half of this country versus not just a portion of this country, whether it's the radical left, versus international governing bodies who have a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D to ensure that your vote doesn't matter. They want to institute a world government, undercut the United States. They see you, conservative Americans, as the biggest threat to that goal. And they see Donald Trump as the most effective tool, the most effective ambassador of achieving that goal. And what do I mean? Let's define that goal. Protecting American interests. Serving the interests of the American people over the interests of international governing bodies, largely tied to, let's be honest, socialist countries and economies. Why are they so concerned? Because you have Donald Trump as the only president in modern history who pulled out of UN initiatives when they don't serve the United States interests. He threatened to pull out of the World Health Organization, who, by the way, at that time, if you questioned them, you were removed from YouTube and Facebook and most of big tech. Now, I know it's going to happen. The UN and those in media are going to throw Jorge here under the bus. They're going to say that he doesn't represent exactly what the UN wants. He was just speaking out of turn. That's what they do. That's their playbook. I encourage you to do so. UN, Washington Post, Mediaite, please, go for it. Everyone else, this story is now live. Mobile, you can share it. Please do on X. If it still is available on YouTube, spread it far and wide. None of this is heard or seen without you, and this is only possible because of you, Mug Club, watching right now. We are not funded by a foreign caliphate like some political channels. We don't have 15 live reads per show. It is viewers like you, and we don't say that in the way that PBS does, where they mean federal funding and occasionally a telethon. Every week, I want you to know this, from now to election, from now to November 5th, we are going to be delivering an undercover piece for you. We've been keeping our powder dry. We've been holding a lot of it back. I have a pretty good idea as to how the media is going to respond. We have a pretty good idea as to the target on not only Donald Trump's back, but your back, Mug Club, our back, here. Everything that we have in the pipeline right now, I don't want to say is of great consequence. It's probably the most important work that we've done here potentially ever. And by the time we get to November 5th, if you want to understand the forces that be that have taken up arms against you, hopefully we will remove all doubt. So please do consider showing your support, and none of it happens without you. Just click that button if you're watching on Rumble to join, or louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. This season right now, between now and election, is Mug Club Undercover, Stealing a Nation 2024. This is all the culmination of months of tireless work here from the Mug Club Undercover unit.
And the definition of globalist.
The UN him.
And we are terrified.
If we decided to ask Trump if you know who he was, and we know,
And make sure you send us your tips at LWC Tips at Proton Mail. And one quick thing, we made this really easy for you to share. Go and click the link in the description to share this on X. It auto-populates to share. Get it out there far and wide. Don't let them bury it.
This is the, if you can, this is the smallest of the
this is a major
investigative
story.
pieces. I know, but it's the smallest of the ones that we have.
Weird,
it's
right?
a segment in today's show. The ones that will be following will be the entire show, just to be clear.
Yeah. It's like being next to Mount Everest and being like the second tallest mountain. It's like, it's massive.
This man may be the least authoritative out of all the pieces we have
Which
lined
is
up.
crazy. So he's very authoritative.
Absolutely.
You guys are
He
not
does.
gonna believe
It is odd that he sounds kind of Asian, even though I know he's not.
He is a globalist.
Absolutely. United Nation. What?
The
humanitarian?
The globalist.
Hey, the last one, I think all of this kind of blew my mind a little bit, but 95% ineffective, all that, useless, all that. Should they have an army? That's the one that made me go, what the?
Yeah, but well, here's the good news. Who's going to fund it?
Well, they're just going to take our money right now as long as people still fund it from the freaking
They need an army.
United States.
Yeah, they need an army to help them rape better in Africa and wherever they're Haiti,
That's
wherever they're
terrifying.
raping
A
people.
global army? Are you kidding me?
With their blue helmets.
I was raised in Canada, where Johnny Boy and I have talked about this all the time. They go, well, we have socialized healthcare. We'll change one thing, okay? Protect your own borders. Go. Oh, isn't it nice, Germany, that you get to declare free internet a human right? I believe it was Germany. Well, you know, the reason you're able to do that is because you screwed the world over twice, and you don't have to foot the bill to make sure that you don't screw the world over a third time. So enjoy your free internet. Enjoy your free internet, courtesy of America.
They get free internet?
Well, they declared it a human right.
Oh.
I don't know if they ever followed through. You know, it might be like
probably not.
It's
They
probably like
just said,
3G.
We're working on it. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Didn't say it was good.
Like, no, Scheiße, it's mint.
It's
Still
dial-up.
loading the wheel of death.
You gave us cricket.
Net zero.
9. It's bad enough we have to make our calls on Vonage. I used to get calls. Remember they used to try and sell you Vonage early on? I used to get calls when I had a landline. And they'd be like, Vonage? I said, I'm sorry.
Are
you calling to sell me Vonage using Vonage right now? I heard some scrambled white noise and a click.
You're like, go yourself. I didn't say anything bad.
No. You Vonage did.
I didn't.
I did.
Did I forget something as far as no, I brought you guys in pretty quickly. Hey, here now we get to have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
Here is speaking of someone who can go Vonage themselves.
It means, yeah.
New verb now.
This man, I should, for those who don't know, I know what you're thinking. Some of you may not be familiar with Ben Stiller. He's a star of Madagascar 3.
Hey.
And 1 and 2. Come on.
I particularly like the penguins because they dance to modern music.
And they do the slapping.
And the lemurs, I think, or what are they?
Is it the lemurs?
I think they're called
Am I thinking of Zootopia? Which one's the penguins?
They've got both.
They got both. They got
it's
it all,
the penguins who like to move it.
They
You're
got
like,
they got a zebra. Yeah, they move it. No, that's the lemurs.
That's the lemurs.
Animals
The
with clubs.
penguins
the
are the
point
soldiers,
remains,
you know?
it is adorable and clever.
It is.
And I think when people say Hollywood is out of ideas, they have not seen the Madagascar franchise.
And Chris Rock was half white. That was cool. It was a zebra, yeah.
So Ben Stiller,
so stupid,
had some very inspiring, and I will say, illuminating comments regarding the presidential election.
You mind answering just a quick question while you came? What you like about Harris' platform?
Just very excited about moving forward and all the energy and excitement that's around this movement right now. So that's
Any
why I'm here,
policy?
because, it's time for change, and it seems like it's happening.
Time for change.
Sustain the momentum post-convention?
I concur.
Sure.
You think the race is going to be close?
It's going to be close, but everybody's motivated to work and make it happen. So, and she and Tim Walz are just incredible candidates.
First off, a couple of things there. I love how his assistant is like, "Sorry, you have to stop. He's too stupid to realize he shouldn't answer this." And
change from
change.
What?
Well, there you have it. Donald Trump is the incumbent. Thank you
Thanks for the endorsement.
for acknowledging. Does this work? Please comment. Does this in 2024? Does a change thing work at this point? Change. By the way, she doesn't even need to change clothes. She's in office. She doesn't even need to change rooms, really. She's going to move from one end kind of to the other. She's probably already in his office.
She's already in there. She's not moving anywhere, dude.
I guarantee you she spends more time in that Oval Office than Biden. I don't know if you remember, Joe Biden is allegedly still the president. You guys might have forgotten. He's still a thing.
Arguable.
Has been true for 3.5 years.
Change. What?
From me. She's starting with the man in the mirror.
I really want to move forward. From yourself?
That was all BS. That's like all like cliche BS.
Yeah.
He sounded like the character from that Fat Cat movie he was in.
Oh, Heavyweights.
Heavyweights, yeah.
Yes.
It sounds like that character. It's all BS. At the end of that clip, you see him just munching down on some fried chicken.
Yeah, more of a Zoolander character where he's looking for the files in the computer.
It's just, this is all they have. And this is why they are deathly afraid of Donald Trump. And they are deathly afraid of debates on fair terms and giving interviews or press conferences or answering any questions. And this is what they want. The left wants to run out the clock so that the media, and when you see CNN and all the mainstream media, I want you to understand that ideologically, as well as educationally, as it relates to these issues, this media is identical to Ben Stiller. You watch media, think Ben Stiller, okay? Fairness to him, though, I hate it when there's gotcha.
Yeah.
He was busy. You get distracted. It happens with me. He was preoccupied prior to making those comments.
When I came here to New York, I got an education. I first started coming here about 2 years ago. And I remember about my third trip in, I came on a Wednesday. And, midweek.
Guys, no jokes. It's sad. Guys, no jokes. It's sad.
I didn't know he was a father.
People need help.
Spit that shit out, man!
I don't think you can from the neck.
I'd rather hear from Jerry Stiller.
No.
That would be fun. I mean, I might not agree, but it'd be fun. You want a piece of me? Kinda.
Why would I vote? So I can go into a booth like the rest of those Sorex! What? Change. And by the way, you can join up. I also forgot to tell you at mugclubarmy.com. It's a very closed group mailing list. You will not receive any newsletters. You will not receive any ads. You will not receive anything other than how you can take an active role with not only the investigative journalism, but the election live stream of the century that we're preparing for November 5th. Here's another way that they try and steal this election from you. And we're allowed to say that on YouTube now, which is great. You're allowed to say steal.
Freedom of speech is back?
Steal. No. It's because they want to say that the election is stolen from them.
Oh, that's yeah. Got to keep that one.
So here's another one. They want to lie to you about everything, and we know that, but they specifically, when the lies don't work on policy, this is what's so interesting. I can't remember another time, and Mission Control can fact check me on this, where if the polls are really close, and they are, let's just call them a dead heat right now, okay? On the issues that matter most to Americans, the handling of the economy, for example, the border, inflation, the American public favors Donald Trump overwhelmingly in a way that is not reflected in the dead heat, the polls, which means that you have people for the first time that I can remember in my lifetime, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, who are saying, yeah, I know that this man is better on policy, but the media in Hollywood have tricked me into the cult of personality. I know that grocery prices will go up with Kamala, and I know they'll go down with Donald Trump. I believe that he'll secure the border more effectively than her, and that's her job. I get it. I think that we'll actually be in a better place economically. But the media says she's really cool.
Chances.
Those are the and the
She's
reason
got the
you
vibes,
see,
man.
she's got the vibes and
right.
joy.
All there.
Joy.
And the reason that you see that gap is because of stories just like this. Now, as soon as I read the initial story, I said, okay, this is absolutely horse shit.
Yeah.
All right, pardon my language. But I knew the media was going to continue running with this. Donald Trump in Arlington, at the cemetery. So on the third anniversary, to set this up, of the Afghanistan withdrawal. It feels weird saying anniversary when you're talking about a tragedy.
I think there's another word for it.
There is no other word for it.
Yeah.
But it just seems because you expect someone to come out singing happy anniversary. It's like, no. That's not one of those. So third year anniversary of the completely botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Donald Trump actually honored the 13 fallen service members, while Harris and Biden have been, not just here, but they've been MIA since the event. And I'll get to the media lying about this and fact-checking the media. But here you go. Now, I want you to remember what you just saw when people on the left say, can't we find common ground? Can't we tone down the rhetoric? Could there be anything more unifying than that? Think about it for a second. If we can't come together over honoring fallen heroes, and if we actually find ourselves squabbling, well, then there's no point in trying to find a common ground. That just means that you're capitulating if you're the only person trying to find common ground. Now, the reason as to why the squabbling matters. Because immediately after Donald Trump did that, media started squabbling, had a meltdown.
There is a growing controversy over the Trump campaign's visit to Arlington National Cemetery earlier this week.
The family of a Green Beret who's buried at Arlington National Cemetery is not happy about Donald Trump's photo op near his gravesite.
Really?
Why this photo has sparked
One of
a
those family
controversy
members?
between Arlington National Cemetery and the Trump campaign. Both parties admit there was an incident on the hallowed grounds.
Okay. Also, here's the thing, too. Whenever the left tries to feign outrage over patriotism, you know it's bullshit.
Yeah.
These are the people who won't even wear pins, American flag pins, at their own convention. Okay. So we should respect our troops more than that. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. What was that, Gerald?
No.
Did something just come in?
No.
So they then, of course, crafted a narrative, and I'll disabuse you of that narrative. But before we get to that, this is not the first time. You know this. The media has been outraged when Donald Trump has done good things. We've covered them quite a bit, like the time he tried to help some sick kids. Yeah, look at that. I mean, come on, New York Times. Is there no shame?
I mean, jeez.
Or when he declined the presidential salary. That was a big one. And the media, there you go. It's just $400,000 for chumps who should just die. I don't believe he said that.
It's written, though.
It is written.
It is.
The people on audio, they're like,
Quoted it, I mean.
I couldn't agree.
When he was an actual hero and saved people's lives. That was one, and they... Okay, all right, you got us on a technicality.
It was fine.
New York Post.
It was fine. Okay,
What
fine.
a dick.
Fine,
He didn't get everybody.
fine.
On audio, this makes zero sense.
That's okay.
Those are
Come watch the
pictures
show.
accompany them. So let's go through this exactly. And I don't want to go point by point because it's so silly, but the media just won't let it go. As soon as I heard the NPR news briefing, I went, oh, they think this is a winning issue for them. So here's the claim that they were making, okay? Donald Trump was not supposed to be at the Arlington Cemetery, and his aides went in, assaulted staff members for no reason, and he was completely violating protocol by campaigning and taking pictures, which is against the rules, no decorum. Can you believe it? Donald Trump waltzed in there uninvited. His staff was like, good way to people who were just tending to gravestones. And then he was basically the Logan Paul of Arlington Cemetery.
He did a cartwheel, I heard.
I heard he did a cartwheel.
Well, that was after he shit on a grave.
Yes.
We did it while.
So here's
very acrobatic.
Here's the truth. Gold Star families were the ones who invited Donald Trump to the ceremony. And then Arlington tried to refuse it, tried to keep Donald Trump from ever entering the cemetery, even though the families really wanted him there. So then the Speaker, Mike Johnson, had to intervene. And the families, of course, were very happy, thanked Donald Trump for being in attendance. No one was assaulted as far as the Arlington staff. And they then requested Donald Trump to take pictures with them. This is an example of people trying to put him in a no-win situation. He's invited. He accepts the invite. Mm-hmm. You try and start a scuffle when he accepts the invite, then claim that you were assaulted, which didn't happen. Then when he's there with the families, of course, I guarantee you, Mr. President, could we please take a picture? Do they look unhappy? If we can bring that image back up, do those families look unhappy? Do they look like they're being exploited? Do they look like they're being abused? They are the ones who asked for the picture. He was there by invite. He did the right thing while he was there, and he accommodated the families who invited him while he was there. Let me read you a couple of, and all the references are available at lighterwithcredit.com. Chung actually posted an email from Arlington confirming the access that was granted to Trump's photographer, because that's the last piece here where they're trying to say, well, maybe he could have been there, he was with the families, maybe he didn't assault anybody, but he didn't have the right to take pictures. Here's the email. Only former President Trump may have an official photographer and or videographer outside of the main media pool.
Wait, so the main media is allowed to have cameras?
Yes. And Donald Trump's allowed to have one,
so
at least.
The main media is allowed to exploit this?
Yes.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump isn't. Okay.
Well,
I see how it works.
It's all about where he was, and they were not supposed to be over there. What, the email right there says this.
Yes.
Come on.
This is how they steal a nation from you, is they get you to believe enough lies cumulatively that you no longer know what is true. And then they gaslight you and tell you about fake news on the right. Look, no one gets everything right. We've made mistakes here. For crying out loud, we have an admonish button. The difference is we make the references publicly available to you, and we actually have shame.
I have lots of it.
When we make a mistake.
Yeah, what is he supposed to do? He's in a situation, they invite him, he goes, Mr. Trump, will you take a picture with us? Absolutely not. Like what?
Absolutely not. Look, I would, but I'm too busy assaulting the gravekeeper.
It's like a WWE match.
The gravekeeper.
What's he supposed to do? Run away? Look, I think I saw Papa Doc over there. Run. I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
Papa Doc. What?
Well, he is a national hero.
He is, yes. I would run too if I see him. Yeah, yeah. So I guess that's fair.
But you want to talk about handling this poorly. Kamala Harris's campaign, they immediately tried to politicize the issue. This is what bothers me most. Do you think that Kamala Harris doesn't know that this is a lie? Just like when Barack Obama came out and said that women made 77 cents on the dollar. Do you believe he didn't have access to Google, to Bing, to every economist who's ever existed saying, well, that's not true. That's an old hired trope. Right. Yeah. No, of course she knows that this isn't true. But that didn't stop her from immediately politicizing it, saying, it's pretty sad. It's not surprising coming from the Trump team. Let's just let J.D. Vance respond.
But to have those 13 Americans lose their lives and not fire a single person is disgraceful. Kamala Harris is disgraceful. We're going to talk about a story out of those 13 brave, innocent Americans who lost their lives. It's that Kamala Harris is so asleep at the wheel that she won't even do an investigation into what happened. And she wants to yell at Donald Trump because he showed up. She can go to hell.
He caught himself. He was about to say she can go screw a mayor.
Oh, no.
Well,
you don't run that back.
Well, it was on the prompter. No. It's not his fault.
It makes me like him more.
That would be screwing
it
down.
Does. At this point. He's taking this one personal, though, I think.
Yeah.
He's usually much more composed.
Yeah.
I think. Go to hell. That's personal.
Yeah.
Well, I think
Talk about veterans and stuff.
He's also pissed off at the stupidity of this story, right? And it wasn't just Kamala Harris's
I don't think it's stupidity. I think it's the complicity that he's pissed off
Exactly.
about.
And maybe that's what I meant by stupidity. Like, he knows that the media is running cover for her right now, and she gets to kind of tail wind in this and go, oh, yeah, I can't believe that they would do this at Arlington. Maybe if you hadn't said, hey, I was the last person in the room on the Afghanistan withdrawal, and yes, I'm still happy with it, to Dana Bash, by the way, and took ownership of that, maybe he would be like, oh, okay, well, no. Of course she's going to get to the bottom of this. Of course people got fired for the decision-making that went into this and that led to the loss of 13 Americans. Plus, the thousands of other people that helped us out over there that probably have ended up dead. And the women who can't drive, go to school, I don't know, sing in public, I think is a new thing.
Well, to be fair, no one could know that the Taliban would renege on their women's rights promises.
Usually they keep their word. You're right.
Well, we were hoping after 20 years we had gotten rid of the bad guys.
Yeah.
No.
We are the world.
Yes. They should say we are the United States. The rest of the world should sing we are the U.S. Be more like us.
No. We are the world. We hold hands with everybody, including the Taliban, the Ayatollah.
No, don't let them manifest their citizenship here.
No. We are not.
We are one world.
Just pick out the flags on that We Are the World that would nuke all the other flags.
That's true.
It's the stupidest shit. I'm sorry. It's like you've never gotten out of kindergarten. Do you not understand? It just takes one that doesn't want to be a part of your world. And there are many.
Or just, it takes all of them not wanting to let one maintain their constitutional rights.
Yeah. And by the way, the person who allegedly was assaulted has declined to press any charges, but and this is the new narrative you'll see, is because they're afraid of retribution from the Trump team.
Yes.
Or the Trump supporters.
Yes, because
come on.
It's difficult to be bold when you only have the entire media, Hollywood, and the current vice president backing your bullshit story.
No.
Oh,
I feel good about putting that story out.
Well, you have the
good about that.
The UN, which we just covered, right? You have they don't want Donald Trump to be president. The media doesn't want Donald Trump to be president. Obviously, Kamala Harris and Tim's socialist walls, they don't want Donald Trump to be president. So they create a story that we know is false, has been proven false. The media will carry it anyway, and they go, please, Kamala, let's give you some momentum. Do you want to comment on this story that we know is fake? Hey, if he was assaulted, there's video footage, release it. Go. Unedited, release it. No tricks. You were assaulted? Show it. They don't.
I think they were pissed off at the optics. The Dems were pissed off that it looked like, wait, we don't care. Neither one of the vice president or the former vice president was there at this memorial. And they were the people directly responsible for that event. Now, I understand they can't be there every single time or whatever, fine. But they weren't there. They were invited, potentially. Yeah. Didn't show up. Donald Trump was invited. They didn't want him to show up. They said, you know what they said? Scheduling conflict.
What does that even mean? The scheduling conflict? It's a cemetery.
It's a cemetery. That's exactly
What's your schedule look like? You can't.
Listen, what else is on tap for today?
JFK's flames getting low. You can't come this week.
Well, I can't. I can only hold my breath once per day. What?
I don't know. The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is the changing of the guard is going to take up the whole day and the whole place.
Gosh, my plate is full with 39 days of not giving a single interview or press conference. So maybe I could pencil you in between telling people I'm not vice president and that I'll change from the vice president I'm not. It's pretty full.
And drinking. You got to include time for Chardonnay.
Well, I didn't remember to put that down because I forgot about it because I'm drunk.
Oh, well. So you took care of that.
Love that statement, too, by the way. What'd you say? She said typical of the Trump team? Not surprised.
It's not surprising.
Not surprising. Like, if you just take out the pretty sad part, that's just that. It's not surprising coming from the Trump team that they went
to
visit the families of fallen soldiers, of botched withdrawal. Typical Trump.
Yeah.
Supporting Gold Star families. What an asshole.
Just take away the pretty sad.
Yeah,
right.
take away. I mean, it is pretty sad that I didn't think of it first.
I know. It's not surprising that he would visit Gold Star families at request. I mean, I wouldn't do it.
And some of the families in the pictures have actually already commented.
That's
said,
right on par.
We wanted to memorialize this occasion as we honor. Like, none of this makes any sense to me.
I'm sure they would have loved to have. We just forget that Biden exists.
I know.
I'm sure she would love to have the president of the United States, former vice. Anyway, whatever. They want to have him. They want to have him there.
Yes.
They want to have the acting president, Kamala Harris. They want her there.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I don't. But the problem is if Joe Biden showed up, someone would be like, oh, no, and show him to his grave.
Oh. Yeah. Why would he have an Arlington grave?
He's like, sir, you're early for your appointment.
Some witch doctor waving chicken bones. Back to sleep. Yeah.
That's next week.
And he would do it, too. Be like, okay.
Well, it does look comfortable.
Fold his arms.
Is that a Serta?
get my girl in the casket. He needs his glasses.
He doesn't wear glasses.
By the way,
stutter. Stop it.
Before we go, you can go see Josh September 19th at the Big Laugh Comedy Club in Fort Worth, Texas. jfirestein.com.
It's a storytelling show. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I think people are going to have a good time there. Better time than cemeteries. They're not that fun.
No. I mean,
sometimes in horror films.
In October, they're fun.
Yeah,
they're scary.
spooky.
Yeah,
they're
spooky.
They do get
I used to live behind one, I guess behind one.
Was it cheap real estate?
No, it was reasonably priced, but it was like in a park, and then there was like a hill, went up to the cemetery, and during the wintertime, it would snow, and we'd go down, we called it the slopes.
You sled through a cemetery?
No, not through the cemetery.
Well,
it was
it's also
just
distasteful that it was a cemetery for those in internment camps in World War II.
No, they were just there.
Here in the United States. A lot of Tanakas.
Sure, one body flew out.
A lot of Mr. Fuji's in there. Old.
There is. This is Tacoma. There is
an old slant graveyard, they call it.
There is an old Japanese graveyard.
Yeah.
From World War II.
I'm sure there's one in Japan.
Yeah, and he wore his.
You can't stop yourself from making mistakes. There are no Japanese graveyards in Japan.
Right.
There's a couple.
I'm sure.
There's a forest.
There is a forest.
He wore his Attack the Black shirt from Aspen too, and it was like, that's just
come on. So
racist.
Again, we appreciate everyone who's helped make this happen. Today is just the tip of the iceberg. This is the opening salvo as far as the Mug Club Undercover series, Stealing a Nation 2024. And we do ask that you continue to support. None of this happens without you. We still are tracking down some other leads, but every single week between now and election, November 5th, 2024, the election live stream of the century. That night, we're going to have an electoral integrity map where you can see us not only call states and dispute states, but any shenanigans that take place that night on that interactive map, you can click a box. It'll open up into a new tab, and you can actually see boots on the ground. We have people in every major swing state, every major city in every swing state, as well as a volunteer army to assist with them. So there is no reason to tune in anywhere else. We know what's going to be taking place with a certain degree, I should say. There's a degree of certainty.
Right.
There was enough certainty that we could make what you're about to see these next few weeks leading up to election a reality. Because when you understand how the left operates, everything that is nonsensical all of a sudden makes sense. But we do need your support. We appreciate it. louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. Click the button if you're watching on Rumble. And we're going to continue, of course, on Mug Club watching a very, very sad mashup here of Bill Maher and Quentin Tarantino. So they were discussing the Alec Baldwin the Rust shooting.
Yeah.
And I watched this. And it's the two of them, like Bill Maher says, who tries to occasionally try and play both sides of the fence. He was like, well, what is the process to making sure a gun is safe? And I thought it was like a joke. They were setting up a bit. And then both of them stumble over each other. I mean, Quentin Tarantino has done films with so many guns.
So many guns, dude.
And they have no idea how to check and clear a weapon. Like, it goes on for such a long time, in case you wondered if Hollywood really is different.
Then armor is 90% responsible for everything that happens when it comes to that gun. But